it's important that we remember that unschooling is not something that we do for children. It's something that we do, that sometimes our relationships with children are often the starting point of that journey. So as we unschool, as we begin to reimagine and have new experiences with learning for ourselves outside of the confines and the trauma of coercive education, we learn a lot of things about ourselves, and those things we learn can also help us free our children. A huge part of my unschooling journey has been the deschooling process. And as I am unlearning so many things, it's also giving me the space to pick up and explore and really start to learn the things that have been of interest to me for the longest time that I just didn't give enough validity to for whatever my schoolish reasons were. Now, I'm currently studying Jamaican post-colonialism writers and podcasting and podcast network management. I'm also studying ideas on writing better books and learning how to live in harmony with a body that is navigating severe endometriosis and fibroids and all of these other things. There are a lot of things that I'm in the middle of learning that are really exciting for me and are also helping me to put down some of those tools of oppression. So in all of this, in all of these movements and learnings and unlearnings, there's a rhythm that's coming up. There's a rhythm that I'm finding and trusting, and one that's taking shape. And I'm learning how to own this new rhythm. And I love feeling through and arriving at my own studies in this way. It kind of feels like a type of thing that a free woman would do, because it comes with a constant self-study that's not just aimed at personal growth, but at increasing my capacity to contribute meaningfully to the communities that I live in and the ones that I help to build, even if I don't live there. These are the things that are my focal point, my studies at the moment, and the rhythm that's showing up around that. And that's what I want to talk to you about this week. I want to talk to you about rhythm. You know, Chris, my husband, my partner, you'll hear me say my partner and I were kind of dragged into deschooling by our daughters, right? And we were not very grateful about it, and we weren't very graceful about it. We definitely both went into it with a bit of, well, I'll speak for myself and say I went into it kicking and screaming, and then eventually just really started to learn that Marley and Sage, our daughters, that I could trust them. I could trust them with their learning, and that they, like humans that I come across, want to learn. They want to learn, and that I could trust that, and that trusting could then create the rhythm that we are now a part of together and help them create their own rhythms. Just that whole beautiful ecology that we've developed together, going from trying to convince our daughters to bring their textbooks to the beach over to recognizing that we just really needed to be doing more of our own deschooling so that they could be free to learn themselves. So there are two things that I wanted to do in this video. Give you a definition of deschooling that arrived for me over time, something that I know that a lot of people find useful, and I want to offer it here in this space. And then I want to offer you some questions to really help you process and research and make sense of your own deschooling journey. What did you already know about your child before they started school? If you're a parent or a caregiver, what did you already know about your child before they started school? For example, I already knew how Marley and Sage learned. I knew their learning styles. I knew that Sage liked to touch. The physicality, the tactile component was really important for her. I knew that Marley was competition driven. She liked the idea of like finishing before the thing that we were using to learn reading at the time, because we weren't always unschoolers. So I taught them to read. I now know better, but at the time, that's where we were. And if that statement sounds weird to you, what do you mean? What's wrong with teaching them how to read? I want you to start listening to the podcast, the Fear of the Free Child podcast, because you'll hear some stories about that, including episode 1. All right. So that's the first question. What did you already know about your child before they started school? The second question, what does learning mean to me? Ask yourself that question. How do you understand it? What is a learning environment in your mind? How do you know that learning is happening? Is there a right or wrong way for you to learn? This is about understanding how you view learning and how similar or dissimilar that is to how learning is assessed in school. And that's going to be an important question as you continue your deschooling journey. 2 more questions for you. Question 3 is, do I believe in the approach that industrial education takes to learning? If, for example, you're a homeschooler right now, do you believe that the model, the way that school happens, what happens inside a classroom setting is the best way, but it just needs for you to do it? It just needs to be done by you instead of in a school setting because you can give more personalized attention to your child, or you can create a curriculum that works exactly for what you want to teach them. Is that what you believe? Do you believe that the approach that industrial education takes to learning is the best one? Your child or children, give them an opportunity to answer this question. Ask them this question. Do they believe the approach that school takes to learning is working? And then the last question is, how can I start recording rhythm? So if you are homeschooling or unschooling and you're watching this, as you spend time together, as you get to know your child, you know the movements, the time of day that they like to do certain things, the time of day that you like to do certain things. I want you to start thinking of ways to record in some way, put it to paper, put it to computer, to write out what you're recognizing about rhythm. Because that rhythm recognition is a part of how you build your trust muscles. That's how you start unlearning your ideas about learning and schooling and go into deschooling, where you start to use observation, witnessing, your own pattern recognition to replace the old ideas about learning and living with children. Think about how you can start recording the patterns and the rhythms that you're seeing. This episode of the podcast was all about rhythm, deschooling through rhythm, and I definitely think it's a great resource for you to check out.
Yeah, I ain't doing nothing wrong.
All right. Thank you guys for watching Unschooling Liberation Space.